The second he was in front of me, he pulled me into him, and his hands were just on me and didn't come off.
That is Stacey Williams. As the headline reports, former Sports Illustrated swimsuit model says Trump groped her to show off for Jeffrey Epstein.
She says that Donald Trump, quote, groped me in what felt like a twisted game with Epstein. This was back in 1992 at a Christmas party, she says, after being introduced to him by Epstein in a Trump Tower.
The allegations, while disturbing, may just be the warm-up for what is expected to be a string of even more horrific allegations emerging before Election Day. The Trump campaign is already in damage control mode over claims including this one. Breaking. I have been told that Trump groped a minor at one of his donor dinners and that there's video. If there is such video, and it is verified, it would be the proverbial bombshell. Trump surrogates are already trying to undercut the potential story. Charlie Kirk wrote, "You're about to see insanely desperate stuff from Democrats. Expect fake AI-generated crap about Trump coming soon. Stay focused and vote." By most accounts, the anxieties in Trump world are sky high, and that's because the stories are renewing a focus on Trump's connections with Jeffrey Epstein. A few months ago, previously secret grand jury materials were released in Florida proving the Trump-Epstein connection, and Democrats pounced.
Like Donald Trump sort of all over this, right? There are pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. He's taken multiple plane flights with Epstein with young girls on board. He is in call logs with Epstein. One of the highest trending hashtags on Twitter right now is about Trump and Epstein. I'm not going to repeat the hashtag because we're in a dignified setting.
The hashtag is Trump pedophiles. Many of the posts screen grab documents from a lawsuit that accused Trump of raping a 13-year-old girl.
But yeah, y'all might want to look at that because that's highly disturbing. And again, it shows that Donald Trump is unfit for office. And by the way, he was convicted in a civilian court for sexual assault, convicted in a separate court of 34 felonies. Donald Trump should drop out of the race.
Most congressional lawmakers and members of the mainstream media have been unwilling to bring up the Trump-Epstein documents. Trump has denied the rape allegations. Katie Johnson dropped the lawsuit just before the 2016 election, and the mere mention of the accusations are reportedly so enraging to Trump, the Trump associates say anybody who brings them up will face unprecedented revenge if Trump wins the presidency. But the fear of retribution has not stopped a growing number of internet sleuths from piecing together the Trump-Epstein connections.
They lived within walking distance of each other in Manhattan. They partied together. Trump flew on Epstein's planes. Epstein buys a house literally within walking distance, shorter than the distance I walked to school as a kid from Trump. How many kids, not even women, how many kids do you think, and I want you to put it in the comments, Trump and Epstein raped?
All of you MAGA Christians, go Google Trump and Katie Johnson. The original assault occurred in 1994. You've got to read a little bit about it.
The Johnson lawsuit, item 12, reads this way. On the fourth and final encounter with defendant Donald J. Trump, the plaintiff, Katie Johnson, was tied to a bed by defendant Trump, who then proceeded to forcibly rape plaintiff Johnson. During the course of this savage sexual attack, plaintiff Johnson loudly pleaded with defendant Trump to please wear a condom. Defendant Trump responded by violently striking plaintiff Johnson in the face with his open hand and screaming that he would do whatever he wanted as he refused to wear protection. After achieving sexual orgasm, the defendant, Donald J. Trump, put his suit back on, and when the plaintiff, Katie Johnson, in tears, asked defendant Trump what would happen if he had impregnated her, defendant Trump grabbed his wallet and threw some money at her and screamed that she should use the money to get a f***ing abortion. Again, Katie Johnson dismissed her lawsuit in 2016 without providing an explanation. But one of her attorneys, Lisa Bloom, said Johnson had received threats and was afraid. As for Donald Trump, his lawyer in this matter at the time, Alan Garten, dismissed the allegations as categorically untrue, saying the lawsuit was completely frivolous and baseless. The lawsuit documents are separate from the Jeffrey Epstein grand jury materials released in Florida. But any focus on the Trump-Epstein connections prompts a lot of people to take a closer look at the Katie Johnson accusations. And new accusations against Trump involving more recent alleged incidents would hit hard, especially if there's video. Just days before the election, this is the moment when millions of voters are making their final decision, and the stakes for Trump go beyond this election. If Donald Trump wins, he will be able to short circuit and end the criminal cases against him. If Donald Trump loses, he could find himself headed to jail. His freedom is literally at stake. And the pressure on Trump, along with the wear and tear of the campaign, clearly seems to be having an impact. In one of his most recent rallies, Trump had a series of stumbles and verbal gaffes.
I know every player, but this is who we're really fighting. These are the people who are doing such tremendous harm. Just tip workers and service workers here in Nevada, increasing the so-called tip. You know, she wants this. When I said...
The New York Times' Maggie Haberman has been covering Trump for a decade and gave this analysis on CNN.
There's no question that he is more incoherent, more rambling, and he's older. And so I do think that's a part of it. I mean, the speech lengths are very, very long. They've been timed. He seems angrier, and he seems a little more focused on talking openly about revenge than he was earlier this year, more than a little, earlier this year. And that I am struck by, especially as a closing message.
That message for Trump, as it has been for 9 years, is that America is being overrun by undocumented migrants. Never mind, of course, that the number of illegal migrants crossing the border each month now is lower than it was at the end of the Trump administration. Violent crime in the United States is also lower than it was at the end of the Trump administration and have now hit the lowest levels in 50 years. But according to Donald Trump, America has more mayhem and is more dangerous than ever.
When Kamala came in, she deliberately dismantled our border and threw open the gates. She threw them open. The gates to an invasion of criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions, from all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo in Africa. A lot of people coming out of the Congo, not just South America. They're coming from 181 countries as of yesterday. Right, and we're a dumping ground. We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to. We're like a garbage can. You know, it's the first time I've ever said that. And every time I come up and talk about what they've done to a country, I get angrier and angrier. First time I've ever said garbage can, but you know what? It's a very accurate description.
And may be accurate, but not because of immigration policies. American politics and the way we talk to one another has become a rancid cesspool. And the biggest contributor to the feces has arguably been Donald Trump. Pumping so much stench into America is usually not a winning political strategy. Here's historian John Meacham.
Politics of fear is really powerful, but what has prevailed until now has been ultimately a politics of hope. Jefferson talking about we're the world's best hope. Lincoln saying we're the last best hope. Ronald Reagan saying we're the last best hope of man on earth. You can track the phrase.
And then there was Donald Trump. America is like a garbage can for the world. We are the world's dumping ground.
Donald Trump alone is saying we're a garbage can, and I guess he's teaching his followers to say that, or saying that we're a stupid nation. Go to Silicon Valley. Not real dumb.
The U.S. economy, the strongest in the world, is also not a dump. And neither is our military, our influence, our cultural impact, our innovation, or our higher education system. And the opportunities to succeed in America, however you want to define success, are unmatched compared to the rest of the planet. But Donald Trump now says America is a garbage can. Well, let's be clear. America does have problems, and we do have our rot. But here's the choice. Vice President Kamala Harris will conduct a presidency that is recognizable, coherent, embraces government institutions, and promotes stability and freedom. Donald Trump would take America down the road of authoritarianism. He would eliminate or tear down institutions of government, and in throwing away constitutional rights, America would be left with instability and chaos. And Trump would likely point to all of that as another excuse for him to grab even more power and control. That's the choice. My gut says that America's going to choose stability and democracy and give Kamala Harris the win. Polls show that Donald Trump's policies and personal character have disgusted many Americans who are only now making their choice. And with every reminder that Trump is not only a wannabe dictator, but also a creep, The hill that Donald Trump needs to climb only gets steeper. Trump's own campaign can see it, and his staffers are increasingly anxious. Because while the harsh policies and dark language keep intensifying and could be dismissed as, oh, that's just Donald Trump's way of speaking, the personal dirt on Donald Trump keeps coming as well. And Trump's way of living, of how he carries himself, of his disregard for other people, especially for women, that Trump, that ugliness, will not be ignored. By the way, some of Donald Trump's own supporters seem to be getting tired of him. In Georgia, dozens of people walked out halfway through this Trump speech. In the speech, Trump seethed at the media for not showing video he played of undocumented migrants.
Because they don't want to give us the privilege of seeing murderers in our country. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Sammy, who wrote, "Do not allow yourself to be too relaxed. Everyone out there needs to vote." Well said. I look forward to reading your comments about the new Trump-Epstein allegations that are erupting and threatening to sink the Trump campaign. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.